Today we have an update on the old Mercedes. Not too much to update really, other than I'm just driving it. I mean, I just run this thing. 75, 80 miles a day. It's my daily driver. And tires are still good. I probably have to rotate the tires and do an oil change. Haven't checked it in a while. I checked the oil, I just haven't checked how many miles are on it. You can see the fluid film starting to weep up into the body panels. That's alright. I'd rather have fluid film weeping up than rust. But yeah, I mean, just a general update is there's problems with it. You know, there really is. I never even started to address the leak, which I think is the sunroof. So it leaks. So I just put a paint thing right there. I just set it on the seat because it leaks right here. Falls and I catch it and I dump it out and drive it home. That's it. You know, you just run the thing. 2 of the windows work out of the 4, and it's like, you know, you deal with it. My washer squirters quit working the other day. Well, they're just, the pump's probably clogged. But you know what? This thing's a 40-year-old car. You just gotta run with the punches. The reason why I'm doing a video on this is because, I don't know, some people have been commenting asking how the car's doing, and I feel like I haven't really talked about it because honestly I haven't worked on it. And here comes a Sherman. Hey, what are you doing? Sherman. You're just a Sherman. He just wants to get pet. I was talking so he comes out. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? So yeah, I mean, that's really the gist of it. I just run this car. I haven't worked on it. I've been working on the camper and my 78 Chevy. If you're interested in those types of vehicles, check out other videos on the channel and you will see us camping and working on that truck and everything else. But this car, I'm getting, you know, let's look at the fuel mileage. So I put 9,000 miles on this car since I've owned it, and the odometer says 198,000. But I'm sure that odometer was changed at one time, because I'm not sure, but I bought the car and the title said that it wasn't the actual mileage. I don't know. So I just did the average on the fuel mileage. So I've put, let's call it 20 tankfuls, because some of them weren't full tanks of fuel in this thing, and the average out of all of them is 27.7, so 27 miles to the gallon, let's call it. I am not that upset about that, because some people I've researched, they get like 24, 25 with this car. So I'm driving mostly 55 miles an hour average, country roads, so it's a little easier. It's not city driving. I just checked, I got like 5,000 miles on this oil change, so I need to do an oil change. But here's the other thing I gotta work on. So I burned up, see, the switch is burned up. You can see it's sparking, actually. So that switch is burned up. I have this wired. There's been some issues that have happened with the car. The kick panel's out. The blower fan blew out of it. It wasn't working. Well, I found out the climate control burned up that would feed the blower fan through this wiring harness here. So what I did was I just went and got another wiring harness from the junkyard, figured out which wires are the ones that are needed, and then went with hot and ground right to the battery. And then I had this switch, so when I was driving I would switch this switch on. Oh, okay, so that was on. Oh, that's off. So I'd switch that switch on as I'm driving, and the blower would go, and then I'd get heat. Well, in the summertime I didn't need it. Well, its switch burned up. So I got an inline fuse here too, which I need to change. But I need to put a switch that's rated for a little bit higher amperage, because this blower fan actually pulls a lot when it's on full tilt. Let's pull this thing in the garage and at least address that, and maybe even put this kick panel back on. It's been off for a long time. So we got the 300 TD in the shop. Just got it done, fixed what I needed to fix. Got the kick panel back in. I even put 2 of the little expensive little caps for the screws that cover that up. And I got all the wiring up behind there, and I got a new switch. Everything is working, and we'll see. This switch is rated to 21 amps. I just put the ammeter on there and it pulls 18 amps after the initial draw. So it should last a little bit longer, that switch. These are the switches in my camper, and I can reach right over here and turn that on when I'm driving. Off and on, because that's my only regulation. That temperature actually does work. It gets warm, but it works. So let's go on to the next project. Pulled one of these tachometer amplifiers, I think they call them. It's some electrical device. I'm not exactly sure what it does, but I know it controls the tachometer. Now, the original one in the car did not work. So I read that if you pull this out and put a piece of paper in between the top and the inside, it'll make a better connection with these pins. Well, the original one that was on the car, which is this one, I think I tried that paper trick. I don't think it worked. So I pulled one out of the junkyard. I just threaded it on and it didn't work at all, the tachometer. So I just tried the paper trick, and there was actually a cigarette button there, so someone must have tried it before. I took a piece of cardboard and rolled it up, put it in there, and now the tachometer works. So that's awesome. Haven't had a tach for like 4 months. For any of you wondering how the air cleaner oil leaking mod is working out, the answer is very well. There is virtually no oil on the actual air filter itself. I just did wipe it out. There's a little bit in here that's leaking through the crankcase vent. It's got a little, but it's fine. All the RTV that I did on there, I mean, that fixed 98% of the oil leak from blow-by that I had. Obviously it's still burning oil, but whatever, it's the way it's designed. So that's an awesome fix. I don't gotta burn through air filters like every month now. Doing an oil change. Last oil change was done at 194,000 miles. I got almost 200,000 on it, so it's overdue. And I just wanted to show this situation. So this is the cap that goes on top of that goes here for the oil filter. There are two O-rings right here that I never replaced prior because I didn't have them on hand. I didn't know about them. So now I have them. I tried using a dental pick to get them off, and I literally bent the pick. So look at how brittle these things are. I mean, they literally shatter. And also another tip to do for when you're doing an oil change is to blow brake cleaner down this hole, and it will come out of this weep hole. So it'll come out of that weep hole there at the bottom of the stem when you blow it out with brake cleaner. So I got the new O-rings on. I'm going to have to order some new ones for the next time I do this. And then also you need to replace this O-ring. We don't have to, but I'm pretty sure they give you this O-ring when you buy a new oil filter. So here's the oil filter I'm using. Yep, there's the O-ring. And that's for this housing here. And then they also give you 2 crush washers for the drain plug underneath. Made in Ukraine. Interesting. Here's my bent pick. There you go. See? Take that off. Put the new one on and keep going. Alright, we ran into a problem. I'm in the driver's side forward portion of the engine compartment. I got the washer unplugged and unhooked for the washer squirter pump, but I broke it. So the washer pump sits right in there, just like this. And it gets pressed into that little rubber grommet, gets drawn up through this, and this is a little pump, and it blows it out. Well, it pumps it out. Well, you can see I broke the nipple off, so that's just great. It's plastic. Couldn't get the stupid hose off of there, and I broke this nipple off. So I don't have another one of these. I could go to the junkyard and maybe find one. Be a shot in the dark, but I don't think it's gonna work, but I'm gonna try and plastic weld this. Okay, I got that tacked on there. What I'm using is the duckbill portion of the this soldering gun, Weller soldering gun, and I just tacked it. I don't know what kind of plastic this is, so I'm just tacking it now. And then I'm going to try and get a different plastic. I think it's polyethylene. I don't even know. But I'm going to get a oil container and cut that up and use little strips to weld it in as the actual like welding rod. So here's what I'm going to be using. Let's see if it works. It's high density polyethylene. I'm just going to cut a little strip and make a little thing out of it. Here's my welding rod, and then I'm just going to heat that up and lay it right in there. Let's see how she goes. We're going to let this set. I don't know if it's even the same plastic, but it's hardening right now. I did a bead around the whole thing. Let's see. This stuff here, it's got a braid in it. It's old and stiff, so pump is back into the tank, and this thing sits down in there just like that, into that little space right there. And then I gotta hook everything up. So I'm gonna hook the electrical, and I'm gonna take a heat gun and heat that tube up, put that tube on there. Okay, put a little dielectric grease on the contacts there, and I used the heat gun, and that's what we got. It worked. I just had to heat it up gently and put that in there. So hopefully, let's see if it fits in there nice and doesn't snap that off. Got the tank in there, and my grandpa taught me this trick. You want to reuse good fluids that aren't, the cleanest. You take a regular old t-shirt that's clean, preferably, rip it up single ply, and then you have it over a funnel, and you just filter it that way. Transmission fluid, antifreeze, that's the type of stuff. This is washer fluid. It works perfect, and look at all that junk in there. Wow, that's probably why it was running slow. That was the whole reason why I even started doing this, is because it was running slow. The pump. Here we go, let's see how she works. Get excited for nothing, maybe. Oh yeah, that one's a little weak still. But it works. Awesome. On to the next project. We're gonna look at this sunroof. And it looks like the seals are shot. But the main thing is it leaks, and it leaks pretty bad. So I'm trying to figure out where it's leaking. The previous owner did replace the windshield because he said it was leaking. I spoke with him, and he said that he is pretty confident that the windshield is not the leak. The leak location is right in this area, is where you see it. It starts running out of this headliner panel here. So I know it's leaking somewhere up top. But the issue is there's a door seal right here, which it could technically be leaking from. I doubt it. It feels really nice, and it seems like it's leaking from above that. There's this roof rack penetration here. There's the windshield, because when you're driving, it could be driving the rain up into the vehicle and then dripping right here. And then there's the sunroof. The previous owner said to really look at the sunroof because he said the seals look bad and he never really did anything with it. But I can tell you that it runs in. I mean, it's crazy how fast it leaks. Let's crack open the sunroof. I have not opened this sunroof since I owned the vehicle. Never opened it because I didn't want it to leak. And it's funny because it's just been leaking and leaking. So let's see how this goes. Oh, wow. That opens really nice. Wow, that's like, that opens nice. Let's get a gander at this. All right. Yeah, that's like the felt from the seals falling out. But it really, there's some rust there, that's obvious. But it's not terrible. Okay, there's a little mechanism there. This looks like someone's been in here. There's marks of a flathead screwdriver. There's supposedly drains right here that go towards the front of the car and then in the rear. So let's see how we can fix or address that. That's my first shot, is to clear the drains. I guess the drains get clogged, but there's a drain down there. I think it like has a tube and then runs down and goes down the fender or something. I got the headliner taken apart, and I can confidently say found the problem. So well, if you can see it, there's a tube right here which is rubber, and then all of this rust. And all of this rust, I guess there used to be a tube that went, like a piece of steel that went in from the tray to there, and that is completely shot, completely rotted out. Definitely the problem. So it's leaking right there, and that's exactly where it leaks. So it makes sense. Unfortunately, you can't really get to it from here, so I got to get to it from the bottom, but I don't know how I'm going to fix that because it's all steel. Well, now you can see it. This is the tray of the sunroof. This is the tube that goes to the drain, and you can see there's a huge hole from rust. So this is where the water's been leaking right here. Guaranteed. Now I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do to fix this. Alright, what I did was I masking taped this little hose, this little tubing. It's a vinyl tubing here that I masking taped on. And then I fed this tubing through the drain hole, which goes out, it comes out like right in here by the front fender, and then drains to the ground. That feeds through this tube, which is steel, out of the sunroof pan into this tube, and then it goes down there. So I fed that tubing all the way until I saw it poking out down here, and I just like fed it back and forth with the vacuum on to suck up any junk. Now I gotta do the next stuff, which is repair it. Got some JB Weld mixed up, patch this little hole, hopefully. So you get the point. See you later. I gotta get from this piece of pipe to this tubing. That's all rotted out. So my plan is to get another piece of tubing, right, to bridge that gap. Well, it's the same size tubing to slip over there, and it won't fit in here. So then I just cut this up with like a Chinese finger trap kind of, and then that allows me to. I can't do this with one hand, but this will slip into that rubber tubing, and then this will slip on top. I'll show you. So there you go. I just used some spit lube, and that's in there. So that water should just run right out instead of into the vehicle. Sunroof is all buttoned up, or the headliner I should say, from when I took it apart. So it's not perfect. I couldn't get this back right, but that's okay. I did replace from the junkyard the clips here, which were broken. So now I got functional clips, and I put a mirror back on, brush this to make that look nice. So that's gonna wrap it up for this video. You got to see some random Mercedes W123 maintenance. So stay tuned for the next video where we might get a little bit more in depth with some more maintenance videos with the Mercedes 300 TD. Stay tuned.